we got spoiler warnings to give out.
Oh. Okay.
We got spoiler warnings for The Flash, the show. Possible spoiler warnings for Daredevil. Possible spoiler warnings for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
There was no Daredevil spoiler warnings.
There wasn't?
No.
You sure?
I didn't spoil anything on Daredevil.
Did you spoil Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't know, but yeah, probably put that in there.
Did you spoil Supergirl?
I don't know. The goddamn show isn't even out yet. What do you mean?
That's true.
How am I going to spoil it if the fucking show's not even out yet?
I don't know. Maybe somebody was like, I don't even want to see the trailer.
Just name...
It wasn't even a trailer. It was like an entire episode.
It was like 6 minutes. That was ridiculous.
Okay, well, so it's just spoilers for The Flash?
Maybe Arrow, maybe.
Maybe Arrow?
Didn't really spoil anything, I don't think.
You're sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Alright. Better be sure.
Well, tell your fucking audience they need to check the stuff, the source material before they listen to the damn video. Or just tell them to mute it, and that way you can appreciate the art and not hear your dumbass spoil stuff.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I guess we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's so damn sensitive about it.
Drawing things for complete strangers, but my parents will probably watch this, so I guess they're not our strangers completely. Bad art. Yellow. Previously on Bad Art, I enlisted the help of a good friend of mine to help me talk about the Arrow Season 3 on the CW. This week, something similar but different in so many ways. Now we're going to talk about The Flash. Same guest, so I hope you liked him because he's back. It's Steve. You know Steve. Steve.
Are we recording?
We are recording.
Okay. You always ask me that when we do other videos.
That's because you record without me knowing.
I know, it's really funny.
Shut up.
I like doing that. Well, Charles, I can only say that I have failed this show. I'm sorry. And I did not watch the season finale of Flash. I wanted to. It was on my to-do list. It was not something I could make happen before this show. So I take full responsibility. Any verbal lashings you'd like to give me, feel free to go ahead and do that.
Well, you didn't watch a lot of the shows, did you?
Well,
I've only seen like a couple episodes.
Towards the end, I started getting more into it. My problem is that I could feel out the filler episodes, which were, I felt like, a lot. And I would, because what happens is I would watch Arrow on Hulu. And once Arrow was over, it would automatically go to The Flash.
Mm.
And a lot of times I would see like what the synopsis was for The Flash. I would read it, and then I would either decide to watch the episode or not. So that would kind of keep, props to Hulu actually for keeping me interested in The Flash. Because I really wouldn't watch that show at all because my girlfriend fucking hates it. And I think it's okay. I actually like the actor that they got to play Barry. But I think that they, and I like the way that they don't really take themselves seriously. It's kind of a lighthearted show, which I like too. Because Arrow, it's really dark and shit. But, I don't know, I like the show. I just need stuff to happen. That's all. I felt like for a while there, they weren't really making anything happen.
Well, see, that was your mistake. Because although there were filler episodes in The Flash, what they did different from Arrow was they did the whole Marvel trick where at the end of the episode, they have like a little Easter egg or secret ending where they do something to progress the plot. Because the main plot this season was him trying to figure out who killed his mom and why, which was the Dr. Wells guy who ended up being the Flash.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah. And at the end of every episode, they always do something to kind of like bring it back to that main story where it's like you're trying to figure out Wells, like if he's a good guy or a bad guy and his motive and stuff like that. So my problem with The Flash, because it started out, the first episode was really good.
Right,
but
it was.
The episodes following that, those were good too, but it did the same formula of here's the baddie of the week. Flash runs into him. He gets his ass beat because he didn't know what he was jumping into.
Yeah.
He goes back to home base, and they're like, well, next time that happens, do this. Yep. And he'll go back, beat them, and that's the end of the episode.
Yep. It's very formulaic.
They did that for about I want to say a good 3-4 episodes, and I was just like, all right, guys, you need to kind of switch it up. And they eventually did switch it up where he, like, it wasn't a bad guy. It was like a chick who could make things explode or something like that. And she ended up not being a bad guy. She was just like, hey, I'm trying to get away from the army because they want to take me and experiment on me and stuff like that. So they kind of switched it up a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's a good show. I just think they need... It's rough because, they do the meta-human thing, and my big gripe, and the thing that always bothered me about S.H.I.E.L.D., and comic book shows in general, is you don't have any notoriety to any of the characters that are bad guys, really. Most of the time it's just, villain XYZ that happens to do this. Mm-hmm. And, like prime example, I think the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, really, that's what really killed it for me, because, I don't like S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Who do you really have to gravitate to on that show? Agent Coulson.
You do?
I mean, if you like Coulson. Some people like Coulson. I don't give a shit about him, but a lot of people like him.
They don't really show him that much, though, do they?
I don't even think he's in, like, all the episodes.
Yeah.
But, like, so you have somebody like that who's been in the movies, who's kind of in the show periodically. But other than that, like, that doesn't really entertain me. So The Flash kind of has the same thing going on, where it's like, unless they put somebody in there that's of some notoriety in the DC universe, or somebody cool like that, I'm not really going to be that super interested. I don't want to see him beat up Meta-Human #1. Or Meta-Human #5.
You're not a DC guy, though.
I'm not,
so
which makes it harder.
Did show people of notoriety that people know.
Well, the Prison Break guy is supposed to be, what's his name?
Captain Cold.
He's supposed to be a big character in DC. That's a big deal for the DC kids.
And he was the best one out of all the roster.
Whatever, right?
He really was.
Whatever. They're both Prison Break guys. they were on Prison Break.
Look, Dominic Parcell, I thought went a little overboard with his role, but Wentworth Miller, I thought did a really good job because it was a cross between him being Michael Schofield and just being something completely different. Like, he was a lot more of a cooler, more cornier Michael Schofield with his little one-liners. But he was like, hey, cool it. Or he'd be like, give me a drink with ice.
Yeah. No, I actually like that sort of stuff. Like, I like the cheesy stuff. So you're not going to get any arguments from me on that. My problem is coming into it, looking at it, objectively, I'm not a DC fan. Mm-hmm. I was not a Prison Break fan. Mm-hmm. But I was like looking at it, I'm like, really? You got the fucking Prison Break guys to be on the show? Like, okay. Like, both of them? Like, one of them I'd be like, oh, that's the guy from Prison Break. But you have both of them, so to me it's just like you have the fucking Prison Break guys on the show.
But that shouldn't make a difference, because like I said, they have the Spartacus people on there.
But that's where I know them from. See, I don't watch Spartacus.
Well, you need to watch Spartacus.
It's on, I think it's on Netflix now. I can watch it.
Because I was very happy to see Liam McIntyre.
I get it. It's just one of those things, like, that was the initial... impression that I got. It's like, what, fucking Prison Break guys out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. that was the thing.
Yeah.
But, so, and that was cool. Like, I didn't mind that at all. The prison, like, it was a little bit, I was taken aback because it was the Prison Break guys. Mm. But I initially got over it. I was like, all right, cool, Prison Break guys are in the mix. Like, if anything, it gave them more notoriety to me because I at least knew they were from another show. Yeah. They're established actors. And, it was funny. But when you get away from that and you go back to the meta-human of the day, or whatever they do, it makes them less special. That's really what it does.
Well, they did something a little different with them, though, because it started out where, like, it did the same formula where he runs into him and then he figures out how to beat him. But they did end up coming back where Captain Cole was actually giving him something to think about. Like, he was freezing the train tracks and... the train was flipping over, and he was like, well, you can either stop me or you can save these people. And Barry ended up doing both. And there was, I forgot what the other thing he did, but it was when, like, Barry took him, like, all the way outside of town. They made this deal where he was like, look, man, do your criminal thing if you want, but you're a smart guy. You should figure out a way to do it without killing people and try and keep it away from my beat. And Captain Cole was like, all right, cool. Like, we do that, and I'll keep your secret, because he figured out his secret identity and stuff. And you know, they kind of had this little common ground, and then they did the thing that you like, where they had the convoy taking the prisoners to Lian Yu.
Yeah.
And which I thought was kind of carried out a little sloppily, but
it was actually really poorly done.
Yeah, but I like the ending where Captain Cold was like, "Look, dude, I'm the bad guy. Okay, don't trust me. I'm gonna lie to you. I'm always gonna get the upper hand. Now these people owe me. You owe me because I could have killed you right now. So I'm just gonna walk away, and there's nothing you can do about it." Like, that's cool. I like that. Cool. I like how they had that.
That's cool, and that's fine. Like, they can develop his character in the show, and I'll like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But initially, trying to pique my interest is just rough because they, you know, like I have him now I can go to. I got the Reverse Flash guy I can go to, but he's probably going to be gone by the. I mean, I'm like, again, I haven't watched it, and you can spoil it for me because I'll watch it eventually, and it doesn't really bother me that much. But you know, the Reverse Flash thing I thought was weird because that guy can never really go away per se.
Yeah,
because it's time travel shit, is it not?
Yeah,
yeah. So,
which in the season finale. So you saw the part where he said that he was an ancestor or he was like a descendant of Eddie, Iris's boyfriend.
Yeah.
The partner. So he's descended from him.
Yeah.
So in the end, Barry ended up like running around in the what was the thing called that exploded? They gave him the powers. I forgot what it's called. The accelerator.
Yeah.
He ran around in that, and then they did some kind of little signal where it could open up like a time portal for him to go back in the past to save his mom. But he only had a certain amount of time to do it. Mm-hmm. He ends up getting there, and he decides not to save his mom. He just let her die because before he went in, everybody kept saying, you know, everything's gonna change if you do this. And he's like, oh, well, you know, but I gotta save my mom. I gotta save my mom. It's my mom. And they're like, all right, well, just letting you know, it's gonna be consequences. Like, if you go and save your mom, you're never gonna be adopted by me. You're probably never gonna meet Iris or get as close to her as you are now and stuff like that. So he had to think about all that kind of stuff. But he ended up coming back to stop Wells from going back to his time period. And they're fighting each other. And Eddie, who was all butthurt, because he was like, well, I don't get the girl in the end because it said that she marries Barry, and there's no future for me.
That guy was being a real sore loser about it.
Yeah, because Wells was like, yeah, in our time slot, you're the only person that no one cares about. Like, we don't even try to acknowledge you because you were just a cop, you know? And so he was all butthurt about that. So in the end, he ended up killing himself to kill Wells, because if he kills himself, Wells can't exist since that's his or his descendant. And but then there was like this catastrophic collision or some anomaly that happened with the time hole, and it turned into a black hole. So everything started getting sucked up in there. So Wells got sucked up in there, or Wells actually disintegrated because he didn't exist anymore since Eddie killed himself. But Eddie got sucked into the time hole. So it could be said that that's how Wells comes back, because Eddie's gonna wind up in some time period. To get Wells to exist again. Mm-hmm. But also heard that in the comics, Eddie is literally the Reverse Flash, so they kind of switched those roles around. But that's
really?
I don't know if that's true or not, because like I'm like you, I read a couple of DC comics and Flash isn't one of them. But although I do like Flash, but the only reason I like the Flash is because he has super speed, and that's my favorite superpower.
I don't know. What my take on the Flash is very weird. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that he does with his powers is really cheesy. like vibrating your hand or whatever to cut through stuff is like you know, or whatever he does.
It's going really fast.
I get it. Yeah, I know. It's just weird, especially when you see somebody like actually do it in a TV medium. Because doing it in comics is one thing, but doing it on a TV show is another. And I don't know. I was never a huge fan of the Flash. If anything, they were able to get me to care about the Flash because they did a couple of things right. Mm-hmm. And then they did a couple other things. So the first thing that they did was they tied it to Arrow.
Yeah.
So immediately right there, since I'm an Arrow fan, I'm like, cool. All right, well.
Yeah, I like how they got his origin story out of the way in Arrow.
Yeah, that was really well done. You know, bravo to them for doing that.
Yeah.
And so right off the bat, I was like, well, I already saw his origin story. Like, I'm already invested in him because I watched Arrow. Mm-hmm. And so then after that, you know, that going along with the fact that, you know, they casted him really well. And the actor that they got to play him, Grant, what's his name, Gustafson?
Grant Gustin.
Gustin, yeah.
I hope that's how it's pronounced.
I think that's how it is, but he's I would prefer him to be the Flash. You know what I mean? Like I think he does a good job. I don't mind that he's younger, and I don't mind that he's real like. He's got that kind of goofiness about him.
That was weird, too, because, like, they look so young, but then when they're, like, in the bar drinking, I'm like, are they old enough to drink? And they're like, I'm 24. And I'm like, oh okay. You kind of look like you're barely pushing 20 there.
Well, we're also kind of jaded because we're old as hell now, so...
Yeah, I know, but still.
Getting up there, man.
The one thing I will say about his powers, because... all I knew is that the Flash had super speed.
Right.
I didn't find out about the variations of it until I started playing Injustice, where it was like, oh, if he moves fast enough, he can molecularize his body and pass through solid objects. And I was like, I never knew that. And then I guess there was a comic story where he was moving so fast, he opened up time holes to where he had to actually go back and close them. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that either. And I felt like they kind of got into that way too fast in this season. Like, he was already passing through shit. And then he's like, he can, like, control time now, pretty much. And I'm like, what are you going to do for the next couple seasons now? Because he's got some pretty world-ending powers as it is.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, and we touched on that in the last episode, was, what do you do if you can't really do, like, a Flashpoint thing? Because what are you going to change all the... You're going to change all the TV shows that are connected to it?
I think they might have to do that because at the very end of the season finale, it ends on a cliffhanger where the black hole is over the entire city of Central City. And it ends with him running up a building and going into the black hole. And I guess he's going to try to run in the opposite direction to close it or something. But he could go in there, mess around with some things, and come back and everything will be changed. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Well, it's weird, because now they have 3 shows? Because they said Supergirl is going to be tied into that too. So it's like, what do you do? Do you, like we said on the last show, it just depends on how you want to do it. But he's probably the biggest deal out of those shows. I mean, Supergirl should be a bigger deal because she's technically like, a more powerful character than him, but
fighting aliens too.
I don't think they're gonna do her to the level that they did Barry and the Flash. Like, I think she's gonna be really watered down.
But they said she was gonna fight aliens.
I mean, okay, but she's still based out of like New York or wherever it is, Metropolis, wherever she's from, right? She lives in a centralized area,
Yeah, I really don't know how DC's cities work because they just started doing real world locations. Like now they talk about Manhattan and stuff like that, but Metropolis still exists, Central City and Coast City still exist and stuff like that. So I really don't know how the map works for DC.
It's weird because I just don't see them doing her on a level that she should probably be done. And I mean, you probably know more about it than I do because you actually like that character and you know about it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the scope of her powers are like, and I don't really know what her backstory is.
She's Superman. I think she's more powerful than Superman, but the main difference is that she doesn't really know how to control her powers as well as Superman does, which makes her an interesting character. And she's not all goody two-shoes like Superman either. She's like really arrogant and rambunctious and stuff. I don't think she'll kill people, but she'll like badly injure them accidentally, But that's why I like her, because she's Superman, but she's like a little bit more humanized. But let's get back to Arrow. Let's not get too sidetracked. What did you think they did wrong with Arrow, or with the Flash? I mean, let's get back to the Flash. What do you think they did wrong with it? Because you said they did some good stuff and they did some bad stuff.
Well, the main thing that I thought they did bad was the metahuman thing. I mean, like you said, they got kind of into a formula.
Yeah.
That was the big problem. I mean, other than that, they didn't do what Arrow did, where it was like, I'm sensing a reoccurring theme here. Like, I basically lied to you, and now you're pissed off that I lied to you. Like, there was no underlining thing like that.
They did that a little bit.
Did they? Well,
when
true.
Iris found out.
Yeah, but even then, I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, that was like the one time that they did it, and I was okay with it because I was like, it's not Arrow. They're not gonna. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Fucking. I was at that point. I didn't like that character enough to where I was like, you can You can be pissed off about it. It's fine.
Also, I don't think Wells hated Barry for lying to him. I don't think they ever really got into why Wells hated him so much. Because he was like, why do you hate me? And he was like, because you're the Flash. And, not in this time period, but in the one that I'm from, you're an asshole.
Yeah, they really didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
It was funny because for the lengths that guy went to fuck with Barry.
Yeah.
For him to not really have a good reason as to why I hate you or whatever, that's kind of lame.
Well, I don't remember them ever really getting into it on why though, because it was something about where Wells built the particle accelerator and something happened where it exploded or something, and that's how he got kind of trapped in the time period. Or something.
You could do the cliche thing and say, "Oh, I blame you for this," or "I blame you for that," or whatever.
Maybe in this time period, Barry's a scientist, and they were probably working on the particle accelerator together.
Maybe. But that's the thing that I don't like about it. I don't like when shows do the cliche reasons for having a grudge. That was one of the things why I liked Daredevil, was because the Kingpin didn't really have an issue with him. It was just kind of conflicting interests, and then you saw it develop from there.
Yeah,
it was more. You know what I mean? It was more realistic. The Flash has the problem of being a little bit too cartoony at some points, I think.
Yeah.
They kind of act like it is a comic book, and they do the cliche stuff.
Right down to a freaking gorilla with psychic powers living in the in the sewers.
Yeah.
And getting out in the city at the end.
Yeah. In some cases that asinine stuff works, in some cases it doesn't. I think that they need to see, because you don't really have that stuff. You didn't have any of the weird superpowery stuff in Arrow until Barry came around.
Yeah.
So then that was what made it interesting, is because it's okay, well, this show takes itself so seriously. What are you going to do when you got fucking dickhead Barry running around 1,000,000 miles an hour? You know? And that was cool.
And now changing time.
And now it's just they're over there doing that, and Arrow's more still trying to be grounded. But that's why I like it when they do crossovers and stuff like that, and you Ollie showing up, and because it brings a different dynamic to each show. Mm-hmm. Ollie's more of a tactician, and Barry's obviously got the speed thing, so they can play off of that.
I like that too in the crossover where Ollie came and called him out, where he's like, "Look, man. You got super speed, that's great, but you're still a human. Yeah. You need to assess the situation before you just run up in there, get your ass beat, and possibly get killed, So I did like that, even though Barry didn't learn anything because he still kept running straight into stuff.
Doesn't matter. He ignores everything.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm fast enough.
And I could see where that would be, something that would be, I could see a normal person doing that.
Yeah.
If you have that stuff, that's what you do, just because it's appealing, and you're like, I have the super speed. I don't need to think about shit. I can just do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do like the way that the shows play off each other that way, because I think it's cool because it makes you appreciate one or the other more. I appreciate Flash for taking itself less seriously than Arrow does, because sometimes Arrow gets really monotonous with that shit.
Yeah, Flash is taking chances.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I want to give before we end it, I want to give a shout out to the chance, or not really chance that they're taking, but for actually going that extra step and being a little different, where they got interracial relationships going on. They got the police captain's gay, and he's married to his husband and stuff. So they're kind of they're not beating it over your head hey, look how versatile we are, diverse we are.
Where they're trying to appeal to everyone.
Yeah, it just felt real natural.
It did feel natural, didn't it?
It wasn't Joe cracking a whole bunch of black jokes oh, this is how black folks do it, Barry. It wasn't all that. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, if they could not do stuff like that and still pull it off and make it feel natural is good. Yeah. Because that's typically what you do. In most movies, people would do stuff like that. They'd make it real hokey.
Yeah. And Candace Patton, I want to say, good Lord, where are they finding these women?
Stop it.
When they show Felicity, I was like, oh my God. Oh man, Emily Bett Ricard, you look so hot. You're so great. I was they can't get better than this. And then friggin' Iris West comes onto the scene. I was like, Jesus! Stop where the hell are they finding these women?
They're a dime a dozen, dude.
No.
They're just pretty faces.
But anyway, let's get to the art. So, and then we'll close it out. So, this is what I got. Got the Flarrow.
I like the Flarrow, dude.
Flarrow got, Ollie in there shooting his arrows. Got Barry.
No, this is modified off of the one that you did before, is it not?
What do you mean?
When you did it before, was he still running?
Yeah, I had to change Barry. I had a really hard time trying to get his pose right.
Yeah.
He was more fat and stockier and a little shorter.
Yeah.
So I had to change around his size, make him a little bit more sleek. And I was trying to get his pose right. I was going off of speed skaters in the Winter Olympics, trying to get that pose.
Yeah.
So I was happy with it.
No, it came out good. The coloring is good. I like that.
Yeah. The flash blur is a lot harder than it looks. I thought that was going to be the easiest thing, but it really wasn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it weird. And, it's all... You're basically drawing computer effects, so it's not really the easiest thing ever. But, no, it came out good. I can see where he started and where he ended.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, that's going to be about it. In closing, I just want to say I was very impressed with The Flash. It took me by surprise. I am worried going further into the later seasons because it is going to deal with time travel. And they're doing a type of time travel where it's it seems like they're doing the multi-string where it's there's different dimensions and all that, and that's where I lose interest because then my brain gets all jumbled.
My brain gets jumbled anyways when they do it. Whenever they start doing anything like that, it gets jumbled.
Yeah, but I get that's a part of his character. I'm just saying I am kind of worried going further into the Flash, but I do look forward to what they do in the next season.
Yeah, they're doing an okay job.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see who the next bad guy is. Because, the Reverse Flash seemed like the easy one.
I do want to see Captain Cold some more. I think the next bad guy is going to be Eddie, coming back as the Reverse Flash. Kind of he's going to go and mess around with some stuff in the past or in a different time period and come back and be like, "Sup, Barry? Remember me?"
Yeah.
Zoom, 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 zoom.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, let's do some plugs, man. Where can people find you?
The best way to find me is on Twitter, @SuperiorSilence, all one word. And you can hit me up on there and ask me any questions you would like. Tell me how much I was wrong on things. Chastise me for not watching the Flash season finale. And that's pretty much it. We do the YouTube channel, which I don't know how much you plugged on this. Probably not enough. But
no.
Probably don't need to because it's not really that good anyways.
Because we never really focused on a name.
Yeah, we've been struggling on that. But you can check out the YouTube channel @SuperiorSilence on YouTube.
Yeah, if you want to see more of us.
And that's you'll see us in the flesh, in the raw.
You'll see how old we are.
Yeah.
Plug the podcast, dude.
Oh, and I do have a podcast. It's at Podcast Garden, and it's the Superior Podcast. podcastgarden.com/podcast/Superior Silence podcast or something like that.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Anyway.
That's a lot.
I don't have a really good. I don't have a good good website yet.
Good lord.
I'll probably just do the Audacity thing. Some people do that. That way it'll be like Audacity / whatever. Or not Audacity. What's the other thing? I don't know.
Try to keep it short.
Anyways.
You guys already know where to find me on Twitter @the_Chewels. Let's see. I was supposed to do this last episode, but hit a mile marker where I'm over 10 episodes now with the bad art. And I'll do something where you guys hit me up on Twitter or my Instagram, which is @ChewVision, ChewVision, and do the intro song. So sing your own version of it, kind of like how they do with the national anthem, where you got people like, ooh, do something like that. Send it to me, either on Twitter or Instagram, and then I'll pick the best one, and the winner will get to intro bad art, whether you want it to just be audio or video, but it'll probably just be audio because I don't know how to pull the video. But yeah, and then pick whatever drawing that you've liked, that you've seen so far, and I'll give you a copy of it. So if you're into that kind of stuff. But just a little thing to show my appreciation for all the views and coming to check some stuff out because, the views usually top out around maybe 10 to 15, but I like it regardless because it just shows that there is people out there looking at my stuff. So just trying to pay my respects, give thanks. So anyway, you guys take it easy. That was Bad Art. That was Steve, aka Superior Silence. We already gave you the plug, so make sure you go check those out. And I'll see you on the next one. That was bad, but it could have been worse. And I'm out.